Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Professionally Lacking podcast, a podcast by yours truly. So, go ahead, get started today. We're going to be talking about what we have to be thankful for from the older generations. So, we have so much to be thankful for from, the older generations, that being the Gen Xers and the Boomers, and even the silent generation. I would say that we have too much to be thankful for. As they have given us so many great things. There are many things to talk about and express our gratitude for, but I think we should give them big thanks for all the environmental issues we're dealing with today, like climate change. We should definitely thank them for a rigged political system which favors them, and we should just love the fact that they gave us so much general hatred around the world. Let me explain what I mean. Let's start with climate change. The older generations harnessed the sheer power of nature to propel humanity into the future. They used so many resources, creating machines of war that in the end were never really used. They made innovations, but at such immense cost. Nowadays, we look towards innovations that cost less and less. They say we made sacrifice. You could say that we made sacrifices to be where we are today. That you got to break some eggs to make a good omelet, and that Rome wasn't built in a day. But all of these things mean the same thing. All that they've done was in the name of progress, right? But as we've shown today, we don't need to destroy forests and burn tons of coal just to save some more coal and trees in the future. But yeah, thanks for leaving us with a dying planet and only 5 years to fix it. Let's move on to this rigged game they play, in which they keep themselves at the top. The American political system is basically a game of Monopoly, except us younger generations are joining the game when the game is in the second phase, in which all of the property is bought up and they have all the money. It's almost as if they're afraid to lose. What have they left to lose? All of our, a lot of our politicians are in their 70s and 80s. They should be worrying about how much their funerals will cost. And them being afraid to lose has made it hard for the younger generations, you know, creating endless expenses, creating an over reliance for us on them. And, now that they're handing down the problems that they created, yeah, thanks a lot for those. Let's not forget about all the general hatred that it's going around nowadays. And just where do you think we got that from? The same generation who decided that, you know, while they did, agree that everyone was equal, their peers still fought tooth and nail to keep society segregated. And, like I've said, the better amongst the older generations have learned to let go of the hate. But just like there is always the bad and the good, there's always, just like there's the good and the bad, there's the bad and the good. Some of them still hold on to their hate, and that has been passed down to members of the younger generation. The generations that our world is depending on, the generations of the younger millennials and the Gen Z. It's up to us, but we can't do this if we don't have everybody contributing to the common goal of helping our world. For the generations that found it, you know, the older generations, they found new technology to be pretty easy to get to used to, but they seem to find it really hard to move on in terms of people. Could just be that as they get older, they lose patience, which leads to them being more cranky and hanging on to the littlest of things. And I would know, Because my father, even though he has more progressive worldviews, he still remembers every little thing that someone does to him, which generally keeps him, gives him something to be angry about, keeping him spiteful. There's a word for that. It's called being a curmudgeon. Those people, generally older people, are always mad all the time. The littlest things. These three things, the environment, corruption, and hatred, are only part of of the problems that the older generations have created problems for us. They might have changed their ways, but the effects of their self-serving behavior still remain. And guess who will be left to clean up their mess? I just hope to God that whatever we do, we don't end up like our parents, our grandparents. So I, for one, want my kids to grow up on Earth, not Mars. I want them to live like I did a little bit. Maybe that's sounding a bit ironical, but we all want the best for our kids. We all want the best for our future. So let's not dilly-dally. Let's not waste time. We've already done so much in terms of our progress. We need to keep going. This has been the second episode of Professionally Lacking. I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.